Stories for Rebel Girls.
Hi, Rebels! This is Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls, the interview. I'm your host, Jayla Nicholas, and today we're talking to Celeste Bell. She narrated the story of the famous musician and her mom, Polly Styrene, the first multiracial woman to lead a punk rock band. If you haven't heard that inspiring episode, go listen right now. Don't worry, we'll wait. Okay, Celeste, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hi, my name is Celeste Bell. I'm a filmmaker and a writer, and I've recently been working on a book and film project about my late mother, Polly Styrene. The book is called Day Glow, the Polly Styrene story, and the film is called Polly Styrene, I Am a Cliché.
You brought us the story of your mom, Polly Styrene. How does it feel to share her story with the world?
It feels great. I think I've always had this feeling that my mum, she created something of value. So in her work, her artwork, her lyrics, her music, I always felt there was a very important message there in what she was doing. And it was one that really needed to be shared with the world. And I always understood that, my mother's story could be inspiring for other people. And I knew that because people would tell me, how inspired they were by her work and how much of an impact her work had on their lives. So these kinds of encounters really kind of motivated me to do all of these projects. So the fact that I've been able to realize these ambitions that I had in terms of my mother's legacy really, make me feel very honored and privileged to be able to bring her story to a wider and international audience.
I love that. You also released a book and documentary telling more of her story. What do you want readers and viewers to take away from these works of yours and hers?
I think there's so much you can take from the book and the documentary, and I think different people will get, something different. But I think overall, what I hope is that young people, not just young people, but especially young people who may be struggling with any of the issues that my mother struggled with, and she had many struggles, including mental health difficulties, experiences with racism, difficulties with her body image, confidence, growing up in a difficult environment without much money, not finishing school, not being able to finish school, and still being able to achieve really great heights. She reached great heights in terms of her art, and she really made an impact. So I hope that kind of, the challenges that she faced and how she overcame those challenges and what she achieved, I hope that can be inspirational for readers and for viewers of the film.
That's amazing. Like your mom, you had your own band as well, right? Could you tell us more about what that was like?
Yeah, Debutante Disco. Well, that was my band more than 10 years ago now. And I haven't done music for a few years, but yes, Debutante Disco was my band when I lived in Spain. And our first gig actually was opening for my mother's band, X-Ray Specs, at the Roundhouse. So that was an amazing first gig. Unfortunately, we never reached such a huge audience again. That was the first and last, but a fantastic experience. I've always been writing lyrics from an early age, and this was something my mother encouraged, and I even wrote lyrics with my mum for her last album.
For girls who are interested in becoming musicians, writers, or speakers on topics important to them, what advice do you have for them?
So I would say, obviously go for it. If you have a passion, you have a calling, it's really important that you try and realize this passion. You try and create and you try and, get yourself out there. But at the same time, I would give a warning, which is, the world of entertainment, the world of music, the world of art even, it can be not an easy place for girls and for women in general. So it's important to have good people around you. If you're very young and if you have the support of your family, keep them close. Keep your friends close, because maybe you'll make new friends in this world, but you'll never have as good friends as the ones, you had before you were famous, if you get to be famous. So, keep the good people around you, the people who know you and the people who can support you and protect you. I think that's really, really important if you're going to venture into what we call the entertainment world.
Agreed. Family and friends are so important. Now, if you could go back to when you were a kid and give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be?
Probably it would be to, not be so hard on myself. I think when you're a kid, this is being a child or being a teenager. I think it gets even worse when you're a teenager. I think, we can be so critical of ourselves, and often we're critical of ourselves because we don't live up to an idea that we have of what we should be like, whether that's in terms of our behavior or in terms of how we look, for example. That especially, I think, affects young women, this pressure to look a certain way. So when you're a teenager, that pressure can be particularly intense.
And finally, what makes you a rebel girl?
I think what makes me a rebel girl, and this is definitely something I've inherited from, my mother, who is one of the original rebel girls of recent times, is acting fearlessly and trying to follow my own path. And that means, doing what I want to do within reason and not worrying too much about if that makes me popular, or even if that's what the general society thinks is the right thing to do. I think it's really important to be a true rebel. You need to listen to your intuition. You need to listen to your inner voice. And you need to make sure that you never forget that. You always hear that. You always listen to that, even when you may be isolated or, your opinions may not be popular, or the way you want to live may not be popular. I think that's what makes a rebel girl, and I really do try, always to live by that ethos.
That's awesome! Thank you, Celeste. And thank you for listening. If you like the show, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, and share it with all of your friends. Catch you next time! Stay rebel!